So President Trump will announce his decision on whether to pull out of the Iran nuclear deal later today. He has, of course, been a long-standing critic of the deal, but other Western powers have urged him against withdrawing. The Iran deal was seen as the key foreign policy achievement of the Obama administration, but many Republicans hate it. Understandably, there's huge global interest in what President Trump will decide. Let's talk to our Middle East correspondent, Yolande Knell in Jerusalem, and our Europe correspondent, Damian Grammaticus, who is in Brussels. Welcome to you both. Yolande, to you first. The Prime Minister there, Benjamin Netanyahu, has been vociferously opposed to this deal ever since it was put in place. Why is he so against it?
That's right. From the very beginning, Benjamin Netanyahu called this deal an historic mistake, and his message since then has been fix it or nix it. And he really points to three main criticisms, as do other critics of this deal. The first of them relates to what so-called sunset clauses that were built into it, whereby key limits on Iran's nuclear program expire 10 years after the deal was signed, so in 2025. And Israel says that there should have been more permanent controls on Iran's nuclear program. It also says there should have been controls on its ballistic missiles program. Israel sees this very much as an existential threat. And then on top of that, it says that nothing was done in the nuclear agreement to deal with what it sees as Iran's regional meddling. And recently, of course, there have been more confrontations between Israel and Iran over Iran's continuing presence in neighbouring Syria, and Israel has made clear that it is a red line. If Iran continues with its presence in Syria in the future, then it will act militarily against it.
Yolande, there are others in Israel, even among senior military and intelligence officers, who do actually believe that the deal is good, at least for now, because what it does do is buy them time.
Well, that's true. I mean, there are certainly some retired generals and some serving Israeli officials who have come out saying just that. And we had, in fact, the IDF chief of staff saying back in March that the deal was working. The argument that was made in particular is that they are very concerned about Iran passing more sophisticated weaponry to the Lebanese armed group Hezbollah. Of course, that would be also on Israel's border. It sees that as an immediate threat, and it has been looking very much at building up its defences towards such things while this deal has been in place. And as others in the world have said, the arguments that Israel has put forward and the facts that Prime Minister Netanyahu presented to the world just a week ago, saying that back until 2003, Iran did have this nuclear weapons program called Project Ahmad. He did a very dramatic presentation where he talked about how Israeli intelligence had uncovered 100,000 files. Well, there are those who say the very existence of a historic nuclear weapons program in Iran shows just why that deal back in 2015 was so very important.
OK, Yolande, thank you to Damian in Brussels. Damian, of course, the US, just one of the signatories to this deal. The others all in Europe, of course. They all want Britain, France, Germany, Russia. They want America to stick with this deal. What options are on the table for them if Trump does walk away from it?
Yes, well, the other signatories to the deal include those three European countries, together with Russia and China, all of whom are in favour of continuing with the deal. Now, it depends how Donald Trump chooses to act. He could simply refrain from imposing new sanctions and leave that question open, which would give a little bit of time for the other parties to try to find some sort of fix. He could say that he was going to reimpose sanctions in 180 days or so, which is when the main ones would kick in. That would give less time and more pressure. Or he could go for a full introduction of seeking full sanctions, which really would, I think, make it very hard to keep the deal alive. Now, what the EU side have been saying is that they believe this deal is working. It has brought about intrusive inspections. They say 10 inspections by the IAEA have been carried out, and all have said that Iran is complying. Iran has dismantled many of its components of its nuclear program. And some of those issues Yolande was pointing out, what the EU side say is that this issue of the sunset clauses expiring in 10 years' time, well, the EU says, well, some of these provisions in the deal last for 40 years, so it does have a long time frame. And those other issues, Iran's role in the region, its support for rebels in Yemen, passing missiles to them, its support for Hezbollah, all of those things fall outside the scope of the nuclear deal and can be dealt with outside it by engaging with Iran, not by bringing the whole thing down.
OK, Damian Grausmas in Brussels and Jan Landnel in Jerusalem. Thank you both.